Our guest today is George Dunn. George is the CEO of CRE8 Independent Consultants, an innovative consultancy focusing on helping organizations plan and implement strategies for digital transformation and information governance and digital process improvement. And George is back on the show with us today to discuss the need for process innovation and digital transformation in law firms. And indeed, George has an extensive background and experience helping improved AMLAW 100 and 200 law firms. He is a highly experienced consultant in total quality management, process reengineering, and Lean and Six Sigma, and in planning for advanced technologies such as digital workflow, process automation, and AI. George has been published in Law Technology News, Corporate Counsel, and General Counsel. So welcome aboard, George. It's a pleasure to have you back on the show again. Tell us a bit more about digital transformation and process innovation in law firms specifically. Why is there a need for process and digital transformation in law firms today?
Sure. Well, first of all, Kevin, thanks for inviting me back. It's a pleasure to be back on your show. Law firms are, a very special client area for us. We've enjoyed working with many firms in this area. And one of the challenges we find, not only learning this, working with the large law firms, but also we do a lot of work with general legal counsel, their customers, is that the clear message today from general legal counsel is that law firms must lower fees and follow increasingly restrictive guidelines. Today, clients are asking for AFAs, fixed fee life of the matter. This means that law firms can no longer just bill for their hours and expect to get paid.
Well, when it comes to digital transformation, it's not inexpensive, and the effort to re-engineer long-standing processes can take some time and effort. How can law firms accomplish this and still maintain partner profitability?
Sure. Well, there's a couple points on that. First of all, to get to where they need, the new dynamic, the new reality of the marketplace is they need to change the way they work. And this is not going to happen just by spending money on new technology. It's going to require looking at their processes first to better understand how to re-engineer those processes to meet the fees the clients are willing to pay. Some examples of the needs for process improvement can be firms writing off fees that are charged to clients. Realization may not be consistent. Firms being relationship-centric versus process-centric. And this is a shift that just needs to happen to ensure profitability for the firm and also be able to lower fees and also to ensure increased profitability for the firm. Some of the other challenges are silos between departments or practice areas, and processes not being consistent based upon who is doing the work. So how can the firms accomplish this? First of all, they need to create an inventory of transactional, litigation, and operational processes to see what processes are out there. And believe it or not, most firms have between 700 and 1,500 different processes up and running. They need to rank these processes in terms of transactional litigation areas, rank them by fees generated, by internal costs, and by realization. For internal operating areas, IT, administrative, HR, finance, etc., they need to rank those processes by what is the cost to the firm, what is the quality of those processes today, and what level of service are these processes providing to the client. From this inventory, then identify what are the top processes to work on.
So it starts with a process-oriented focus. Makes sense. Understand what processes are most important, and then look for gaps in the performance of those processes. When it comes to digital transformation, many law firms are integrating advanced technologies. We hear a lot about AI, machine learning, and other technologies to streamline operations and improve client service. Can you give us some ideas of specific technologies that are really moving the needle for law firms today, and what should law firms be considering in their strategies?
You bet. First of all, to your point you just made, yes, the process has to be looked at first. And there's two reasons for that, Kevin. One is that you cannot improve the quality of a process by simply automating it. Basically, you're going to get a faster process in terms of the way that it works today. Quality means reshifting steps, looking at different ways, better communication points with the client, working together. The second thing is that when we look at technology, it's how it's configured that makes a difference. It's not buying it. And we hear stories all the time within law firms and general legal counsel and other organizations. They buy these huge platforms and they're not working for them because there's they're not configured correctly. And so a big part of looking at the process is say, how do we re-engineer it first to clean it up and improve it? And then it gives us a way to guide configuration of these technologies. Now, to your last question, I think AI is great, machine learning, but those are still pretty early on. And it's going to take time to figure out how to integrate that into existing technology bases. Two of the bread and butter, if you will, technologies I think are fantastic for law firms are digital workflow and electronic content management. Digital workflow provides all kinds of opportunities for law firms in terms of how information is communicated internally, kicking off patterns between different people that are doing work, um, also communication back to the client. And you can go as high level or as detailed as you need to. And by implementing this technology, we're starting to get rid of and squeeze out a lot of the manual efforts of process steps that really don't add any value. So digital workflow, I think, and I would say is one of the primary technologies. Having said that, looking at new data systems are important, looking at ways to integrate the different systems together that you have, and also looking at some of the modules that aren't working correctly and saying, can we reconfigure these?
So digital workflow is an opportunity for law firms and information management in general, bringing together the silos of information across the firm, if you will. Um, how are law firms being successful in facing those challenges in their digital transformation journey? How are they overcoming these obstacles?
You bet. Well, the first, as I mentioned, is to create an inventory of what are our processes and rank them in terms of cost, volume, need for change, in terms of impact to the client, in terms of impact to profitability. Once we've done that and created our list, the next step is really drilling down. And I find the best way is let's start simple and do high-level process maps. That map can be created in an hour. When I work with the transactional side or the litigation side, I'm working with the partner or the partners and their group and talking about how is that process working today? What are their goals for the process? And quite frankly, a lot of the partners are saying, look, if I can get some of the knowledge out of my head and get it into the associates' hands earlier, we can eliminate rework later. If we can get more information from the client that's needed earlier, we can avoid rework back and forth. So by simply getting rid of these unnecessary steps and moving knowledge forward in the process, we're able to make that process work better. Um, Once those high-level diagrams are established, we kind of frame the process. How do we interact back and forth with the client? How do we interact back and forth with the courts? And then we start our drill down into areas that have the best benefit for improvement. That area, we get into step-by-step kind of process analysis. I think that's important. Also look at the current technology systems that are in place. And quite frankly, a lot of processes aren't supported that well by technology. There's a lot of manual effort still going on in a law firm, and a lot of communication between groups and areas. So we look at how can we automate that, but it starts with a high-level map and then a detailed map, and then looking at how can we clean up the process and create a new process. I call that a redesign A, real simple term, and then do a redesign B, saying, okay, now we've cleaned up the process, reorganized to better meet the needs of the clients. How can we supercharge it with different technology sets? And so then looking at that process and showing what it would look like. From that, Kevin, we can conduct a return on investment analysis. And as independent consultants, we're able to do that because we're not selling or reselling technology. So we're protecting the firm's money, the partner's money, and identifying is there an ROI, and then going on and looking at the vendors and saying, here's how we want that process to work. Show us how you can do it, versus getting a demo from the vendor and they're controlling how the system is deployed. We're going to say, no, this is what we want. We're inviting you to the table. Here's the budget. Here's the ROI we're looking for. Can you do it?
We are here today with George Dunn, CEO of CRE8 Independent Consultants, an innovative consultancy focused on helping organizations plan and implement strategies for digital transformation and digital process improvement. We're here today talking about the need for process innovation and digital transformation in law firms. Now, George, what do you recommend for our listeners and viewers today that are in the legal industry? What steps do you recommend that law firms take today to move the needle in terms of digital transformation and process improvement?
You bet. Well, as I mentioned, starting off with an inventory of your processes and identifying what's the roadmap is extremely important. Then high-level mapping of each process, they've identified in that list. Doesn't take much time to do. Identify the structure of the process, ideas for improvement, current issues, what do the clients think about the process? Then from there, as needed, drill down to the process and identify it needs to be re-engineered to better meet those needs. From there, apply technology, either better use of internal technology or the new advanced technology set. But Kevin, one of the challenges we find for law firms is that they're busy and conducting day-to-day work, and also they don't have extensive experience conducting this type of work. Plus, it's difficult sometimes to get people to participate. So we find the best way is to have a strong executive sponsor saying, okay, this is important. Could be a chief, could be a director, could be a partner, saying we'd like to accomplish this. And quite frankly, bringing in an external consultant that is highly skilled in process improvement and advanced technology planning. And the most important is that this consultant needs to be skilled and understand the culture of law firms, their processes, and their relationship between the law firm and their clients. This type of consultant can work with partners and chiefs, managers, and staff to help them through the process quickly, make important decisions, and then get this going and create meaningful changes.
Now, how does CRE8 help with all of this?
You bet. Well, we'd be happy to help. We've got extensive experiences. One of the last projects we finished, we actually analyzed 770 different law firm processes, but didn't take that much time. We did a quick inventory and identified what's the roadmap for technology planning. Also, what we identified is what could be a flexible spend model for the law firm in terms of if revenue increases, what areas need to be expanded, revenue decreases, what areas need to be decreased. So we've got a lot of experience. We're happy to help. They can reach us at our website at www.createinc.com, CRE the number 8, INC.com, or give us a call. We do answer telephone calls. Our phone number is 206-556-5958, and we're happy to listen to what your goals are, provide some ideas, and see if there's a way we can help.
Well, George, it's been great speaking with you today. We're almost out of time, but before I let you go, one last question. How does this all play out in the real world? Can you give us an example of one organization or one use case that you feel has been particularly successful?
You bet.
What did they do, and what were the results?
You bet. Well, we've worked with many firms out there, and so without getting into specific names, which is important because we sign confidentiality agreements, some of the key areas I can tell you that are very important for law firms is, for example, billing, e-billing, and collections. It's a major process for the firm. The reject rate for invoices can be up to 40 to 50% because they don't meet client guidelines. There's not enough information provided. And so streamlining that is huge in terms of getting those invoices paid faster. Other areas are, in terms of transactional areas, mergers and acquisitions. And, there's many other areas that are out there that can really benefit from looking at the process and helping their client interact better. And then also, of course, litigation is huge. And the key thing with litigation is there are many parts of litigation process that are repeatable. And can play out across different litigation cases. So if we can improve those pieces that are repeatable, then we get to be able to improve that practice across all these different matters.
That is George Dunn from CRE8 Independent Consultants. George, thank you so much for being our guest today on the Digital Transformation Podcast.
You bet, Kevin. Thanks so much.